Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, we're going to be talking about the Daniel Penny situation here because this trial is just now started. It has been brought up by the corrupt DA Alvin Bragg and racist DA Alvin Bragg, and it is what we would call this very similar to the Kyle Rittenhouse case, because even though that Kyle Rittenhouse had defended himself, he was still brought to trial and indicted into manslaughter because he defended himself because these DAs are corrupt. And it's very similar, even though one was in Minnesota and one was in New York. The trials are similar in their respects. Now, we don't know what's going to happen. Hopefully, that Daniel Penny gets free from this. But one thing that I want to keep separate here, what I want to do is, what is the case with Daniel Penny? Who is he? Well, he is a man that restrained Jordan Needley, which is the man that was causing a fit and destruction on a train, and that was the so-called thing that was going on. And since then, Alvin Bragg had labeled him a murderer for killing Jordan Neely, which was being destructive and actually quite violent, and people were known to be scared of this man, and that is the cause for concern here, and he was indicted him for Daniel Penny for murder, and that's insane. That's completely insane, and we were all thinking, and I am thinking, that it is a race issue. So this is what's going on with Daniel Penny and how he's been indicted for murder. He was arrested, put in jail, and he is a former Marine, which apparently this is how we're going to treat our Marines. And without further ado, my friend, here is the actual case with Eric Gonzalez and how he kind of just was not really charged with anything. He was going to let go, and it makes it more and more clear that this is more of a racial prejudice type thing from Alvin Bragg than it being anything else, because Eric Gonzalez lied to the police, which is a crime, and for whatever reason, they decided to let him go, but still charge Daniel Penny because he's the big no-no man.
On the Daniel Penny trial. Today we heard from a subway rider who says he helped the Marine veteran hold down Jordan Neely as Penny kept Neely in a chokehold. The encounter would result in Neely's death in the subway. Eyewitness News reporter Darla Miles live in Lower Manhattan with more on today's testimony. Darla.
Well, David, Eric Gonzalez testified he had no idea why Daniel Penny had Jordan Neely on the floor in a chokehold. He just said he saw someone restraining another person and he jumped in and tried to help.
Now, what this guy said, Eric Gonzalez said, he has said that, oh, well, I just saw somebody restraining somebody else on the ground and I went in to help. Now, normally, in most scenarios, if I didn't know who was restraining who or who was doing what, the first thing that's going to come into my mind is that I'm going to try to separate these people if I'm doing anything at all so they don't end up killing or hurting other people in the process. But in Eric Gonzalez's mind, he thinks that he was going to help the person restrain the other person, which means you would be an accomplice or be considered an accomplice in the fact of somebody else murdering someone else if you didn't know what was really going on. Let's just try to make this make sense here.
It wasn't until after the fact that he realized that Neely had died and that Penny had been indicted for involuntary manslaughter. He said he was so panicked that he took all of his vacation time, went into hiding, and when he was finally located by the Manhattan DA's office, he lied about what happened.
So this guy was so panicked because he realized that Jordan Neely, the guy that Daniel Penny try to resist so that guy didn't, go and hurt other people. He fled, he got panicked, and then ran away. And then when the police department of Manhattan finally located him, he lied to the police. He told lies, okay? So don't worry, guys. It's going to get worse here.
Somebody call cops.
Who is the guy in the black hat? That's been one of the biggest unanswered questions in the death of Jordan Neely.
So what doesn't make sense here, right? And I've already kind of explained it somewhat here, is that due to this, is that Alvin Bragg is arresting somebody that pretty much in a chokehold, which if you even see here on on the video that it's not a chokehold. The arm is nowhere near the neck. But I digress. Is that Eric Gonzalez, the guy that is holding down the guy that didn't know that was going on, is not aiding and abetting somebody getting murdered. So why is somehow, for some god apparent reason, with all the other trained people around him, even clearing out Daniel Penny's names, like he helped us in this situation. This guy was unhinged. It was a homeless guy, and what have you. How can Alvin Bragg not charge this guy for aiding and abetting of a manslaughter case when it doesn't even make any sense. Like they would have to add that Eric Gonzalez is the one person that's aided and abetted in the death of Daniel Penny, not Daniel Penny, but Jordan Neely, and that's not what happened here. So how does this make any bloody sense at all?
Eric Gonzalez is seen in cell phone video, also trying to restrain Neely as Daniel Penny maintains a chokehold.
She's not squeezing over. He's not squeezing over.
The 39-year-old father, the first to testify Tuesday morning, telling the court that he went into hiding when he found out Neely had died and that Penny had been indicted for involuntary manslaughter. The Bronx resident explaining that he did not see what led to the commotion but jumped in and tried to help, telling Penny at the time, "I'm going to grab his hand so you can let go." But at some point, Jordan Neely's body went limp and I let go. That's when Gonzalez said he tried to wake Neely and check for a pulse before leaving the scene to go to work. Gonzalez telling the court how Neely tried to break free from the chokehold, seen here tapping the leg of a bystander, asking him to tell Penny to let him go. Gonzalez telling Neely they were not going to do that, after which Neely is seen here, fiercely struggling to get loose. NYPD detectives having to track him down a week later. Gonzalez in a panic he might get pinned with a murder charge, testifying, "I lied to the ADA, at first saying Neely struck him first and Penny came down and took him down, and that I also lied and said Jordan Neely was alive and breathing when I left the scene."
So what we have here, the biggest thing is that he went out and claimed, pretty much said that I jumped in and tried to help. I'm going to grab his hand so you can let go. And then at some point, Jordan Neely's body just went limp, and then that's when he let go. And he tried to check his pulse, but that's not what happened. What have you, right? And then he goes on to say that he just lied to the ADA, just straight up lied to the police, and said Neely struck him first, and then Penny came down and took him down, and also lied and said Jordan Neely was alive and breathing when I left the scene. So the fact is that he lied about all of this, right? And Alvin Bragg, for some god apparent reason, does not want to charge him. Now, I'm not going to go and say that I am blaming Eric Gonzalez for this, because he was also feared of being held for a murder charge, which apparently, in Alvin Bragg's view, in New York's reality, is that helping people and trying to restrain somebody from doing a crime or hurting others is an issue and a problem, and that's the reason why that we shouldn't just go and that you shouldn't go help people, because obviously when you help people, that's bad. When you hurt people, that's good. That's at least in Alvin Bragg's mindset here, and this is the problem, and I can't really blame for Eric Gonzalez for wanting to leave and flee the scene because he's going to be put for a murder charge. We're actually just trying to help and do a good thing.
Now, Gonzalez has been proffered a deal with the Manhattan DA's office that he would not be charged for anything he told the office about what transpired that day in exchange for his testimony, but he only got that deal 2 weeks ago, and he says he's been scared since then.
So yeah, what we have here is that Eric Gonzalez made a deal with the DA, which is Alvin Bragg, saying that he will not be charged for any of the things that happened, even lying to the police, and he's been scared ever since that reality, right? And what we have to end up making this be, right, is that ever since the Black Lives Matter type of stuff happened, or what have you, we end up having where Alvin Bragg, this individual, has been going after the white man because he ended up killing Jordan Neely by not restraining him in the neck. Jordan Neely was a homeless man, and he died from some other cause, but it was not by Daniel Penny. He restrained him so that way that he can't go out and hurt other people. But I am thinking that Alvin Bragg is doing this out of a malice and out of a racial type thing, and that is the insane part. Because Eric Gonzalez, even though that he ran away from the actual scene, he lied to the police and all this stuff, he should be more liable, if not, and then of course aided and abetted according to Alvin Bragg's world by killing Jordan Neely. He has at least 3 or 4 other charges that he could be brought up upon him, but instead of actually charging Eric Gonzalez for all these crimes or things that he did, all those were knocked off, and he only decided to go after Jordan or Daniel Penny. So it shows that there may be an actual bias or a racial bias in this regard, and that is a huge problem. Alvin Bragg has continued to destroy New York with his horrible policies and going after people for setting an example for the white man, because the white man is the reason why why so many black people were slaves. That may or partially be true if we're talking about almost 200 years ago, where this was something bit of a problem. Not a bit, but was a problem. But now that's not the reality. And the fact that you're going after this for a racial bias and proving that you are being incredibly biased in all of this is insane to me. And there's more to this Daniel Penny stuff, which I'll be showing more tomorrow as well. But the insanity is that Alvin Bragg is not a good person. He is a terrible person. I dare say he's an actual racist, because all the things that he's been doing so far, as of recently, going after Trump, and then going after Daniel Penny for trying to save people, and then not indicting Eric Gonzalez, who obviously committed crimes definitely most worse than Daniel Penny in this regard, because as he relied to the police and all that, it really just shows on what it's like there and what is perceived with Alvin Bragg. And I can't believe people could ever live in New York and the way it is right now, because this is complete insanity in every regard. Now, for the icing on the cake, we'll put this bit here. And here's what some of the ladies are saying, right? Obviously, this is some, he has the good old whatever this is, I forgot what it was, the Hamas sign or whatever, and it says, men have seriously abandoned women here. It's so sick. They have no sense of responsibility towards women at all. Every day, another 100-pound New York beats up a woman in plain view, and obviously no men try to defend or mobilize her at all. Then it goes on to say that this man on the subway was really harassing a woman, being disgusting, invading her space, etc., telling me effing why me and the other women were around tried to intervene and tell him off, but all the young, fit guys around just stood silent and looked at the ground. This guy was a big dude, and yet we were moving around to try to create a physically barrier between him and her, and there was so many guys who were definitely stronger than any of us twiddling their thumbs and acting like nothing was wrong. And we have finally here replaced with correction. Women should be second-class citizens. We're made to be man's helper. Women are now just lost it and misguided and forgot it's men not get too proud. Of course, the Unity guy says here that it's rare to see a man defend women being attacked in public. Perhaps it's a lack of testosterone, or maybe they just resent women. We've been just hoodwinked by the constant barrage of media BS. Respect will continue to degrade, and if men want it, they all need to take it. And here's my point on this, right? If you want men to help, if you want men to be able to do things and protect women, perhaps it might be a good idea to not punish men for helping people. That might be a good idea. Because Daniel Penny, if you're going to go and arrest this man for trying to help other people, and he's going to be facing murder charges, maybe men are not going to go help women or go help other people because they'll be arrested for it. You have to award people for helping others. If you don't award people and you put them up in jail for helping others, they're not going to go help anyone. And that is the type of society that Alvin Bragg is trying to push onto its city, onto its people, where people are afraid to help others, where people do not want to help others, and other people have to be suffer for the negligence and the evil criminality that Alvin Bragg allows, because helping people is bad and hurting people is good. This is what's in Alvin Bragg's world. And if you guys want to blame anything, maybe blame on your policies, blame the people that you're voting in, because this is the reality. Men are not going to help you women. Men are not going to help anybody if you don't vote correctly, specifically trying to protect people when they help you. So, if you want men to help, protect the men that help. Don't put them in jail, because that's what happens, and that's what's showing when you go into Alvin Bragg's world. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, share. As always, take care, my friends.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, because it's algorithmic disease, the social media.